Marie, I think one of the major shifts that is happening in Christianity that is beyond social issues. It certainly includes social issues, right? It certainly does, which your book covers social things that are theological and social, of course,
Right.
and then end up being political, of course. But I think one of the major shifts that is happening I think classical theism, the concept of the Christianity holding and housing at its center is the classical theistic supernatural God, which then, that's where authority comes from, that's where biblicism comes from, that's where the magical, miraculous Bible comes from. That's where moral, religious absolutes come from, because we have this supernatural God who supernaturally intervened into the human natural world and left us this supernatural religion and ancient book. And I think as people progressively evolve religiously and choose to keep Christian spirituality as part of their, like, there's obviously plenty of people bagging it, just going, I'm done with the whole damn thing, for sure. But I think those who are sticking with it, Christianity has to go beyond this supernatural theistic version of God, which is allowing the fear, because I think your point about the psychological fear is spot on. It seems to me, I'm very curious about where that will end up at the end of the 21st century. Does it, again, I'm just the minister, I'm not the academic. Does anything, what I'm saying, does any of that make sense?
No, it absolutely does. It's very interesting to think about it that way. I really, and I would say I haven't. And just to say something personal about my own journey that I think is relevant to what you're saying, I was in graduate school before someone said to me that you could love the Bible and be a Christian and not take it literally. I was like 22, 23 years old. And I remember where I was when this person said this to me. It was a UCC pastor, but a friend of mine in graduate school. And my mind was just blown. And I was like, what do you even mean? You can love the Bible? And I had thought that
did you view them as an apostate, or were you beginning to awaken?
No, I had already thought that if I had already questioned my faith in the Bible, and so I just thought I couldn't be a Christian at all. I didn't know there was another way to be a Christian. And so I think that's somewhat similar maybe to your journey, but there's some dimensions of it. But I just remember realizing, like, oh, I could read the Bible, find the stories profoundly meaningful, see Jesus as a prophet whom I adore and admire and can, think deeply about, without having some sense of a supernatural and some sort of certainty about morals in the world. It took me a long time to kind of figure some of that out, but that was, sort of my own journey out of that. So I think taking that back to what you're saying, if you see that in larger societal terms, I guess I don't know. I see a lot more people, as you say, just leaving it all together, looking at Christianity as if the conservative white evangelicals of today represent everything it means to be Christian, and saying, well, I'm not that. I don't want that. Yeah. Or I don't want the Catholic version either. And so there's nothing left,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think in their, and this is no critique to anybody that leaves. I partly understand why people leave. And they may be saying, and this is my premise and thesis that needs much more thought and distance on, but they may go, I'm leaving because they didn't accept my gay cousin, Lou. I'm leaving because they seem to be dabbling in what is reproductive rights for my body. Sure, I get that. Or they may, or because of all the sexual abuse and hypocrisy, pastoral abuse, or just the rigid doctrine. But I'm saying, oh, no, I get that. But it's why you're really leaving is because a supernatural God who would control all of those things just doesn't make sense in at least a modern 21st century Western world. Mm-hmm. And this is partly why I say we also need to be careful. Those of us who have evolved from that and stayed, I think we need to watch at times our own reverse fundamentalism and treat our own awakening and evolving as now I've seen the light. Now we've become just like those that that have given us agita. But because there are people in parts of the world that are hanging on their circumstances, they need a supernatural God.
Right.
And we need to hold that. I think we need to hold that with great empathy. But in the West, I think we're seeing, those are my thoughts.
No, that's, if I could respond to that, I think that's very interesting. And I agree that we need to work against a sort of fundamentalism on the secular side, if that's sort of what you're pointing to. Or, what I prefer to think of is mystery. I think we can coexist, people who believe in God, people who aren't sure if God exists, people who are certain God does not exist, but leave it open and let there be mystery and accept other people on their own path and believing different things. And I don't know why that is so difficult for us to do in this society, but we clearly have not done a good job of that. All of our laws about religious freedom, to the contrary.